This week, we welcome Veronica Schmitt. She's the Senior Digital Forensic Scientist at DFIRLABS. She's going to be doing a technical segment. There's also another technical segment coming up after that. Yossi Sassi will join us. He is part of the advisory board at Javelin Networks and co-founder of a cybersecurity research firm. In the security news, fear of AI tactics, the FDA releases cybersecurity guidance. Watch hackers steal a Tesla. Syria's D-Link router security flaws may never be patched. And California attempts to address default passwords. All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. The average time between being hacked and realizing you've been hacked is 1 year. Can you afford to let an intruder roam your network for that long? Can your company weather the fallout when this comes to light? Black Hills Information Security can find the bad guys in your network and train you to do it yourself. Email consulting@blackhillsinfosec.com to find out how a hunt teaming engagement can help you find a persistent threat in your network. Domain Tools help security analysts turn threat data into threat intelligence. They take indicators from your network, including domains and IP addresses, and connect them with nearly every active domain on the internet. Those connections drive risk assessments, help profile attackers, guide online fraud investigations, and map cyber activity to attacker infrastructure. Fortune 1000 companies, global government agencies, and leading security solutions vendors use the Domain Tools platform as a critical ingredient in their threat investigations and proactive defenses. For more information, visit securityweekly.com/domain tools.
2 Pauls, 1 cup? I don't know. Maybe it was just 1 Paul, but there were 2 cups. 1 Paul, 2 cups? I don't know. But anyway, it's Paul.
Welcome, everyone, to Paul's Security Weekly, episode 580. It is, in fact, October 25th, 2018. We're recording live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. And I'd like to now introduce the wonderful, the fabulous, the Dr. Doug White. What's going on, Doctor?
It's the unraveling.
It's the unraveling.
The
You need a new cigar, dude. That one came like all...
It's unraveling, yeah.
It is, yes.
No, hey, 2 hours in traffic, but I got here, so.
Thank you for weathering the storm.
The sacrifice, yeah.
The sacrifice you make
I
just
tell
to be here.
That's why I look this way.
You need to get a better cigar.
Oh, well, it'll be okay.
We'll figure it out.
There's scotch, so.
There's always scotch.
After a while, you don't know about the cigar. You just sort
It's true. It is very true. Mr. Patrick Laverty from Rapid7 is here with us in studio. Patrick, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Paul. And one of the things that I'm probably a little bit scared of now is if somebody doesn't know what Doug was just referring to with 2 cups, 1 Paul, and they go Google it.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, don't.
Don't do that.
No,
don't do that.
No,
That's bad.
Under
especially
no
not after a meal.
No, don't ever Google 2 Pauls, 1 cup.
No.
Yes. Now, all of our hosts are in studio.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, because now I don't have to introduce anyone of a host on the line via Skype. I do have to introduce our guest. Before we do that, though, we've got a couple of announcements. If you're interested in quality over quantity, having meaningful conversations instead of just a badge scan, and you like going to Disney World, you should come to InfoSec World 2019, April 1st through the 3rd. That's at Disney's Contemporary Resort. InfoSec World 2019 will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll be there as well. You can connect and network with like-minded individuals in search of actionable information. And I can, attest to this conference. It's really good. Doug, you've been there before.
It was fun.
I mean, the reason why you hear us talking about it and we go there is because they're a great organization to work with, and they put on a great conference. It is one of the most well-run and organized conferences on the planet.
Everything was really smooth. There was tons of stuff there. There were tons of sponsors there. There were tons of people there doing great presentations, and it was at Disney. So, I mean, it's like, what's not to like?
It was no Mickey Mouse operation is what you're saying.
That was a dad joke.
I'll be here all week. Thanks.
We do have a discount code for InfoSec World. The discount code is OS19-Sec Week. That gets you 15% off the conference. So make sure that you go out and register today. Already.
Daffy.
Veronica intro. Oh, wait. I wasn't supposed to read that part from the teleprompter. I'm sorry. Don't you know Burgundy reads whatever is on the teleprompter? Veronica Schmitt is here with us. She's a partner at DFIRLabs. She is a forensicator, an avid researcher in digital forensics. I met Veronica at DEF CON. This is one of the reasons why I like going to DEF CON.
Yeah.
Essentially, Veronica came to the booth, and I was like, that's an interesting accent. And I think someone was trying to guess the accent, and I guessed it right. Is that right, Veronica? I think I guessed it right, and then a new relationship is born, and now here, Veronica is on the show. Imagine that. Veronica, welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
It's so nice to have you. Thank you for coming on and talking about the topic you're going to talk about today is really interesting. I was glad to have Doug here, who also has a background in forensics, and it's basically picking apart file systems without using any kind of tools. So doing it kind of like manually with a hex editor.
Hardcore. That was how forensics was originally done.
I thought it was sifting through the punch cards. Is that?
Well, there's that kind of forensics, where you have to have,
I got you.
Yeah.
But this is the original, like before we had tools, we did it with a hex.
That's when you could do a disk wipe with a fire.
That's right. It's true. So, Veronica, welcome, and please feel free to stop this hilarity and continue on actual content that people will enjoy.
Yeah. I think you actually have my topic confused. That was the one that we were originally going to do, but I said to you it's a bit short notice and a short time to do. So I did email you today or earlier this morning.
That's why I suck at email. But so yeah, continue. So what's the segment going to be about? Now I'm on the edge of my seat.
So let me ask, do you guys know what SRUM is in Windows 10?
Say that again.
SRUM, your System Resource Usage Monitor.
Oh yeah, that was the other topic.
I'm going to say no.
No, I don't know.
I think that's why I chose the other topic, because I didn't want to feel stupid and not know what SRUM is, and now.
Okay, so if you right click on your screen and you go Task Manager and you go see all the applications running in your network connections that Windows gives, so that you can do diagnostics on your system, that's basically what it is.
Okay.
But it's a very sneaky little piece of artifact because all that information is dumped into an ESE database. Mm-hmm. So you can actually pull that file apart and reconstruct executables and forensic artifacts to see what actually happened on a system.
That's cool.
So that's basically a new artifact that has came about in Windows 8.1. And it's a very fairly unknown one. So I spent a couple of days pulling it apart and actually seeing what evidence I can pull out of it. And there's an awesome Python command line tool that I'll be demoing that pipes it into an Excel spreadsheet that you can do thread hunting and analytics on.
Did you write this Python script?
No, it's a phenomenal SANS instructor, Matt, that did it.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that why reinvent the wheel if the tool's already there.
Totally agree.
But it's not a pretty tool. It's not a commercial tool. It's freely available. But it's fairly straightforward and actually one of the best Python tools I've seen in a while.
Awesome.
Well, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, go for it. It's all you now, Veronica. Take us away.
Here we go. Okay, can you guys see my slides?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly the reaction we had. Say what?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm V or Veronica. That's a few places that you can find me. I'm also known as the Poison Pixie. The guys from Security Weekly would realize that I'm probably the one that hassles everyone at DEF CON and does scavenger hunts and the impossible. So if you want to hit me up, there's my information. Feel free to contact me. Okay, so what the heck is SRUM? Now, when I first read about this, I thought, But how does the System Resource Usage Manager actually mean anything to us in forensics? Because in forensics, it's all about timelines and reconstruction of events that happened. Well, here's a little thing that no one knows. Microsoft actually keeps all that information in an ESE database. So this literally has a historical activity of your whole system. How it works is every 60 minutes, this information is written to the database. But in between that, temporarily, it is stored in registry. So it's effectively a continuous monitoring of your system and every activity on the system.
And Veronica, this is turned on by default in Windows?
It is. It is because it's part of the Windows diagnostic services. So it's something that most people are unaware of, and it's something that you can't really switch off because it affects Windows' ability to do diagnostics on the system. So that's why I say it's a very sneaky little artifact that kind of makes you feel like Microsoft is monitoring you or spying on you. If you've ever wanted to switch to Linux, now is a good time, because at the end of the segment, you might want to burn your Windows machine.
Yeah, when you were giving those instructions earlier, I don't run Windows, so I couldn't follow along.
So one of the things that it does log is your application resources used. So every executable, every binary file that's run. In Windows 10, you have those awesome push notifications of updates available, or what you've downloaded, of messages. This is also stored in the database. It will effectively tell you what was going on your network activity, what binary was downloading the most. So the total packets, the total bytes, it gives you all that information. And if that wasn't enough, it actually logs which network devices you log onto or connect to. It will give you the type as well as the name, how long you were connected, when you were connected, and the total bytes that was transferred during that time. So it literally effectively monitors everything that you do on Windows. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the application resource tracking. One of the main things in forensics is user attribution. We want to know which user was actually responsible for it. Who's the one that pressed the button? Now, in Windows, every user is assigned a unique SID, and that is how we identify user attribution in forensics. Now, on a Windows system, any file that interacts with that specific user will reference that SID. And this is also tracked in the database. So not only can you tell what binary was run, I can tell which user was the one responsible for initiating it. So some of the process information that we look at is the CPU cycles. And from that, you can calculate exactly how long an application was open. It gives you the switches. It gives you the I/O bytes, the read written. And if you understand computer science, you will know that is how instruction is passed from memory to the operating system to do anything from opening files to reading registry keys, effectively everything on Windows. It will also then have a number of flashes where memory has been flashed or cleaned out. So if you look at that list, that's quite a lot of information that's contained in something that's supposed to just be a nice graphical user interface for the user to be able to run diagnostics on their system. What it does, however, not contain is any memory information. So no memory threads and handles, no cache information, and no kernel info. But that's not a big thing to worry about, because in forensics now we do live forensic images, so that's where you will get that. What is very important for me with SRUM is it's a very quick and dirty way to see what exactly was going on a system. It literally took me about 5 minutes to run the tool and about another 5-6 minutes to sort the data in Excel to understand what I was looking at. We have a running joke in our firm is, I'm going to ask you guys, what's the best forensic tool out there? Doug?
I didn't get what you asked.
I said, what is the best forensic tool out there?
Notepad.
Well, I just to sort it out, I would.
Oh wait, I got it. Strings.
Well, you can.
No, Excel.
Yeah. If you put it in Excel, you can put it all in columns, and then you could organize, or you could put it in a notepad file and parse it.
Yeah,
but no, I like Excel because Excel is also the best vulnerability management report writing tool as well.
Well, that's what everybody used for auditing. So when we did audits, we always used Excel because you could sort these massive stacks of things in really quickly.
And make pivot tables.
And make pivot tables and make everybody suffer.
It's true.
How were you never sad doing audits? Audits make me terribly sad. Makes me sad and,
that's why I enjoyed doing them so much. I love the look on their faces.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. So you're the one that walks into the firm and we go, oh, no, it's him again.
Exactly. I love that feeling.
That's kind of like anywhere Doug goes, though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, didn't you hear us say that when he walked in tonight?
Yeah. No, yes, you should. Yeah, you didn't notice them all going,
here.
oh, he's here. Yeah, like, oh, God.
All right. Sorry, Veronica.
That's right. We apologize. No, I agree with you. Excel is an excellent way to do that, and you don't have to write code to do it.
And then if you look at the application history, so that's how your task manager looks. And if you click on app history, it will give you all your usage information. So effectively, everything that's running on the system. So what is very nice is you can even tell what processes or programs were uninstalled. So you can actually reconstruct a file system, even if there's no prefetch. For us to be able to determine what software was running, we can do that from SRUM, a fairly unknown or not well-documented forensic artifact contains so much information, which I will show you guys a little later. I have a case study to show that. So this is your application resource columns that you get. You actually get the application name, you get the full path, the date which it was created, which user ID is responsible for that, especially when it comes to incident response, when we want to identify the origin of a compromised account. This could be very beneficial to see exactly where the exploit originated from or where the malicious binary actually started from. Which is very interesting. It also gives you exactly, the bytes used. And we all know that malware tend to run very hot on a system and take up resources. And it's fairly easy to identify those things. What's also very interesting is this is more for diagnostic purposes instead of specifically forensics, is you can actually tell how energy is used on the system and what the health is of the system. Okay, so here we have exactly how this database looks. It has your network data usage monitor, your push notifications, your application resource usage, your network connectivity, and your energy usage providers. Now they are also assigned a GUID, or there's various ways. I don't know, how do the Americans say that? Because we say GUID.
I like your way better. We say GUID.
Yeah.
No, I like my way better too.
Yeah. I'm going to say that from now on, especially since Paul says GUID.
Doug and I get in, you don't want to know, Veronica. We get into these debates. It's API, and it's a daemon. Anyway, Continue, Veronica.
Well, I'm very impressed. I must give Paul kudos. He said my company's name right, because we have been DFIRLABS, but it is DFIRLABS. So thank you for that, because I was a little bit concerned whether my poor company name is going to be bastardized tonight.
I think that's actually the first time I've said something correctly the first time on the show. So, I mean, we're breaking new ground here.
And then also those are your dynamic link library files in System 32 responsible for monitoring and watching and collecting this information. So, as you guys can see, there's a lot of information in this database that can help us. But except for that, if it wasn't bad enough that you can find that in a database, you can find the same information in registry, which is, of course, where my love affair really lies, because I think registry is better than sliced bread, because it's a very big hobby of mine when a pen tester tells me, oh, but I can get on the system and I can do anything. Well, yeah, escalate your privileges, because I can promise you there's a registry key you're going to flip and I'm going to find it. Because let's face it, registry is one of those things that records mostly everything. So under your software key is your SRUM information stored. So as I explained earlier, SRUM will write or commit to the database every 60 minutes. However, in between that 60 minutes, it will commit it to the temporary location within memory. So this means that effectively the whole time data is committed to either the registry or to the database. Now, this is located in Windows System 32, your SRU folder, and it's srudb.dat. It's an extensible storage engine, which is an ESE database used by Windows extensively. Those are the tables contained in it. There's your GUIDs, as I explained earlier. Very straightforward. Where it does become a little bit tricky is that when we pass the information out from the database, we need to be aware that the timestamps are in UTC. So it's not in local system time. And that's where I think with NTFS as well, it becomes a little bit tricky when we do timestamps, which is very important in forensics, is we need to know what is passed in UTC and what is in local computer time. Because a lot of forensic tools will try and convert it to the local system time that the forensic machine is set on. But with a lot of cross-border investigations, you're going to find that the time zones don't match. I had a friend in New Zealand tell me that they had a cell phone that they had to do where the local time zone was in Samoa time, but it was manually set to New Zealand time. So every file that the user interacted with was actually in New Zealand time versus the system time being in Samoan time. So it's important to know. That's when I discussed with you why it's important to understand why your tools pass information out and how they calculate it. It's this tricky bit where some tools will still pass it out in UTC, but they'll tell you that it's in local time. You need to actually go with a hex editor, sweep the bytes, check the NTFS journals, and see and calculate and decode the time yourself, just to make sure that you don't go stand in court and end up with egg on your face when you come against a defense expert that's done these checks. Your network interfaces, you guys will see there's a interface LUID or LUID. That is the network interface name. There's a couple of ways to do it. This is the long way that you can do it yourself, where you can actually parse it into a readable format. I did this, but I found that the tool that Matt did was far easier and user-friendly to use. The only thing, when I get to that, I'll explain to you guys is a few potholes that you can step in that you should be aware of, because otherwise it's going to make you cry. And just for the record, I haven't slept in 12 hours, so I might start crying. And that's why I did a video, because I thought I'm not doing a live demo and everything goes wrong, because that's generally what happens with live demos.
Totally understandable. What time is it right now where you are?
12:30 in the morning,
yeah.
Or evening.
That's what I thought.
Morning, evening. So what now? Everyone's going to say, oh, but SRUM, so what does it help forensics? Well, we can do user process mapping. I can get network statistics. I can see what's been uploaded, downloaded per process. I can see what's been deleted, uninstalled. I can see what external programs have been run. And I can actually see for how long an application has been run. How many times in forensics have we not heard, oh, no, I accidentally clicked on the software and it downloaded a bunch of copyrighted stuff? Well, not if you've been running it for 24 hours. That does not seem accidental. So this helps with those situations where you need to prove that an application was actually run over an extensive period. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing is with prefetch, we can never really say how long a duration of a process is taken, because it literally will give you the first 8 times that file was run. Everyone knows what prefetch is, right?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So it's a very nice piece of information, but unfortunately, anti-forensic tools have become smart. And this is the one place that they tend to clean up after themselves and make things very difficult for us. But now this is where SRUM is very nice, because there isn't really anti-forensic tools that clean it out, because not a lot of people are aware of it. Sure, some bright spark's going to go write an anti-forensic tool after this talk, which is fine. We'll just adjust, as always, with forensics. So here you can see how we calculate it. So we actually take the times that SRUM is run, you take the CPU cycle, and you can calculate exactly, approximately, how long it's run. It's very difficult to do it precisely, but an approximated time can already lend context to a situation. In forensics, we always say it's important to have a narrative. You have allegations or something that you suspect has happened, you need to prove a narrative. You need to tell a story with digital evidence as to exactly what happened on the system. So here you guys can see how the spreadsheet looks with the network usage, and you can actually see when it was created. The applications where it states none, it is an unknown application. So those should already start having red lights flicker to you. All the user SIDs and usernames have been changed to none. This is just to anonymize it as best as possible, because this is an actual case.
Veronica, if you could see us here in the studio, you'd laugh at all the old guys like getting closer to the screen and like squinting our eyes. Yeah, we're just old. You're fine. Keep going.
Yeah, I can try and make it bigger, but I'll try and talk you through it. So what you can see here is that it connected to a bunch of profiles, which is your network profile. I renamed these to evil and bad network. It'll also tell you the type of interface that it is. But except for that, if you look at it, you can see that he's been running uTorrent, he's been running Eris, he's been running OpenVPN. He's been committing, downloading data to his physical disk. He's using Microsoft Edge. And this is literally just a tenth of what the spreadsheet contains, because it will actually tell you the bytes downloaded, uploaded, and total. So you can actually sort it to see what was most extensively run according to the bytes and mostly downloaded on the system. You can sort it according to processes or profiles. Now, it's very important in forensics for us to know when someone's connected to a wireless or broadband network, especially when it comes to compromises or data exfiltration, because all of a sudden, if you see applications like Dropbox uploading a lot of information and you're suspecting that there's data being exfiltrated, you now know to go look for Dropbox artifacts. So this is a quick and dirty way to get an idea of what was really going on the system. Now, if you look here, I zoomed in for you guys so that all the gentlemen or females or people can see. It literally gives you a lot of information, exactly the path from where it was originating, and the user, because here we can see that it's Mr. X-Men, and he was actually running uTorrent and Eris and OpenVPN. So obviously now, if you see OpenVPN, you're going to know that really, like, you need to start looking at, you can't really associate an IP address. So you're not going to be really able to do attribution if it is a hacking case. So already there we know that he's been trying to hide his IP address. Then the application resource manager is quite interesting. You have the creation date when the application was run. And if we look here, we can see that this specific user was running Tor. I love it that people say Tor is anonymous. Well, unfortunately, it does leave some artifacts on your local machine that you run the VM from. So we are able already to see that he was using Tor. So I now know that I'm going to have to look for Tor artifacts. I'm going to have to adjust, readjust, and relook at how I do things. But surprise, surprise, he's also been running CC Cleaner. Now, CC Cleaner claims that they clean everything. Well, unfortunately, they don't clean the SRUM. So now I already know that if the evidence is not there, there's a reason for it. If my unallocated space is zeroed out, I can pretty much now conclusively say that he's run CC Cleaner on the 20th of August 2017 at the time UTC. Now, what is important here is if I'm in South Africa, I'm going to have to adjust that to local time, because I can tell you people are going to want to know, you're going to have to report on it according to your time zone. Except for that, we also see he's been running VeraCrypt. So obviously now I know that I'm going to have to go look for encrypted volumes. So he's been hiding data. And again, he was using a VPN client. So already here, there's a lot of evidence to point us into what exactly was going on the system. I don't know what you guys think, but I think this is pretty awesome for a forensics person to be able to find all these things, this fast.
It does two things right away. It's going to save you a lot of time because it points you at certain artifacts that you can go look for right off. And the other thing it does with the dates and times is it's going to let you start to pick at people who are lying, which is something
exactly.
That's one of the standard things that a lot of law enforcement people are trying to do, because they have to do quick workups and they've got people they want to arrest. And the more you can poke at their story, if you can do these things quickly, which it looks like you can, you're pulling down a date and time, and they say, I wasn't even at home that day, and you can pull it right down and go, yes, somebody was at home. Somebody was using the system.
But even think about incident response. What is important in incident response? We want to know a timeline.
Yep.
We want to know a pivot date. Well, you can do this within a matter of minutes. Pull through your SRUM, pull through that stuff, and automatically there you can do isolated imaging. You don't have to go image a whole server. You're going to know exactly when to go look at. Yep. You're going to be able to do that quickly and find the artifacts much faster. I mean, who in their right mind wants to go to, petabytes of forensic imaging at a server farm? Good God, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst I've had to do is image 55 computers on scene. Thank God for Paladin. But I mean, I really don't want to go sit my whole life and wait for servers to image and then still have to process that image. Because I don't think people understand is when we do an image, it is a bit for bit copy of what's on that hard drive. So the new trend in forensics is we want to actually just do custom images. We just want to pull out the evidence that we need. And this is a quick and dirty way to do that, because in incident response, you're going to know exactly where your problem lies. Mm-hmm. Then it's your network connections. It actually tells you for how long a certain specific connection was established to a network. Now, where we have situations where, for example, your computer's connected to a bad network, you can actually say approximately how long your computer or network was exposed to that network, which is very good to know. And you also know what the profile is for it. So it gives us a way to identify these devices very easily, especially if you think about someone connecting to a local router that they have so that they can exfiltrate evidence off of their machine. Now we have the machine and we can identify that person according to the profile name of his router.
Sorry, hold on, Doug. She can say router. You still have to say router. So don't pull that crap with me.
Now I'm going to say router all the time.
Damn it. Sorry, continue.
Router is, I'm going to have this debate again because, it's always like my American friends will say to me, speak American English. And I'm going to say to you, I speak British English. So it's water and it's router. It's not router or water.
There you go.
I thought you were going to say router was the woodworking tool and router was the network device.
It's a router appy demon.
You just can't say router in Australia, apparently. It is
interesting.
Very not appropriate, as I learned.
That's why I can't go back to Australia.
Well, that's not an on-air conversation that we should have.
Yeah, that's not the only reason.
Push notifications. So what is the one thing that Windows 10 has? It's got Cortana. It has push notifications because we want life easier. We want easy access to everything. Well, everyone's got desktop applications where they have chats. This is also noted. So it'll tell you immediately that this person was running Viber, when he was running it, the notification types, and whether there was file transferred. So you can see there's a payload size. So you can actually theoretically go map this back to artifacts within that chat database to see exactly what he received when he received it by the size and the identification number. So that already gives you an idea that you can actually say, you received this file via Skype, for example, that you sent to your friend or your friend at another company. You know, you actually exfiltrated evidence. It points us in the right direction that we can actually map a system out, which I think is pretty awesome. I had a holy shit moment when I started looking at this stuff, because for me, this is important. I probably will do this on every case on Windows 10 going forward. This will be the first thing that I do after I've dumped the memory. And this is, like I said, not very relevant for me. It is your energy usage, which is more for diagnostics. So just to put everything together, what we just found from SRUM, and this was like a tenth of the information on the spreadsheet. I didn't want to bore you guys with every single thing that this person did, but we already found uTorrent and RS downloading. We can say which networks the person was connected to, the total bytes of downloads. We see he's using Tor, Ferrocrypt. We know CCleaner was run. We know OpenVPN was used. We know there's Skype, and we know there's Viber. So already, just right in the beginning of our investigation, we've effectively mapped out where we need to go find more evidence just to corroborate this. But even in terms of a timeline, you could build out exactly what the user did. And that for me was both scary and exhilarating, because this is a lot of information that Windows is monitoring. And I don't think the users are aware that this is being piped into a database that is being stored. And from research that I've done, I haven't seen that this information is overwritten or that there's a specific size that this database can get to. So I would like to actually further research this with more time to see how far back one can potentially go. Because unfortunately, with incident response, we don't know immediately when a person has been compromised. It's generally, according to SANS, over 200 days before an organization notices that they've actually been compromised. But the other thing is, in the absence of having memory, because it's so long after the fact, you have SRUM that allows you to reconstruct binary and executable behavior. So in the absence of memory, not all is lost, because we can still reconstruct it on an application and user level.
Veronica, are there other ways that Windows can track this information for like an application, how much data it's sent and how long it's been running? Does Windows write that anywhere else, or is SRUM really the place where it writes that?
I don't think, as far as I know, but I can be wrong because I am only human, even though I tell people I'm bionic. But as far as I know, there's no this level of detail on applications anywhere else. You have your event log applications, which will tell you what event was what application was launched and things like that. You can pull it from memory. So yes, there is ways to reconstruct it, but I don't think it is as neatly packaged and as complete as what SRUM is. I think this is probably, because it's a diagnostics tool that's being run and Windows wanting to know when things fail. You know that little report you send them when things go not responding, which is more often than not, fortunately. I think the main thing for Windows for me is I sometimes feel like a spinning circle, because that's all you seem to see when you launch an application. So I can understand that there's diagnostic applicability, But it would have been nice that this was disclosed and said, oh, so by the way, that little pretty thing that you look at for us to run diagnostics, we're actually storing all that information. Because I kind of felt violated when I looked at my SRUM. I kind of felt like I was being spied on, but I'm not saying Windows or Microsoft is spying on us at all. I'm just saying that's what it felt like at the point. But I have to also, the forensics person in me is going, holy shit. Why have we not been looking at this since Windows 8.1? Because I've only managed to find one academic paper citing this.
And Mark Baggett has written a tool on SRUM. Is this a newer tool or?
No, this is the tool that I'm going to use, SRUM dump. Sorry, it wasn't Matt, it's Mark Baggett. He's a phenomenal instructor at SANS that actually teaches Python for forensics. So this is a Python-based tool. It's very easy. I'll show you guys now because I'm going to run a video to actually show you how it was done, and I'm going to talk you through it. One thing I want to say before we start, you have to unfortunately use a tool such as FTK Imager if you're working on a live system to pull out your SRUM database and software registry key. Reason being is these are Windows locked files, so as long as your machine is on and active, Windows won't give you access to it from command line. It won't give SRUM access to the files. So there's two ways of doing it. You can spin up FTK Imager Lite, but be aware that is going to write to memory, that is going to write to prefetch. It is going to leave a trail. If you use a USB to stick it in, you need to know that there's going to be mount points, there's going to be drive, assignments made. There's going to be evidence of that in registry. So always know with live forensics, we are going to step on the evidence. We just need to minimize what we step on. Because unfortunately, the way that things are going these days, dead box forensics is being phased out. We tend to want to do things while the machine's running, especially with your TPM chips or BIOS encryption or full disk encryption. We tend to want to keep them online. So then what I would suggest is if you want to do SRUM is to pull it out with FTK Imager Lite. That is a small single binary file, very small footprint. Pipe it out to your USB and then go run it on your forensics box. Alternatively, you can still do deadbox, pull the plug, image the machine using Paladin or take the hard drives out or whatever form. It depends. In forensics, it depends on the circumstances, the hardware, the software that you're working with. If you have a forensic image, best case scenario is mount it up in FTK Imager as a file system, but non-writable, because we don't want to go change things. What you can do then with this tool is you can actually then query against it. A lot of the things that SANS teach you, you will do the forensic image mounted on your forensics machine and run queries with command line tools against it. I've cheated tonight. I actually copied it onto my machine into the SRUM dump folder, that everything's there, that I can run it faster. And I am known for mistyping things in code or in command line. I am the queen of that, syntax errors. So I wanted to minimize my screw ups tonight. So I'm going to start the video and then.
That's funny because Doug is the queen of that too. Just kind of.
Yeah.
Well, he's got competition on. I think I'm prettier.
Well, I don't know.
Doug is going to debate you on that one.
Hey.
Good Lord.
Okay, here we go. So the first thing that I did here was to navigate to.
Veronica, could you make the text bigger in your terminal window, please?
Okay, just hold on.
Thank you.
It is.
It's somewhere in there. I gave up on all that, and I just bought gunners that have 1x magnification, because I'm old.
No, it's not doing that. I am going to share a different screen. Stop share. I'm going to share the video. Why is it not showing that? You see, now there's technical errors, yeah.
That's right. If you go back to the terminal window, that's fine.
It's actually not a terminal window. It is actually in the presentation itself.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we can make it bigger.
Yeah, I mean, if I can read that from here on that screen, it's probably fine.
I can see it. Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Doug can see it too. He's like twice my age. So.
Yeah, I'm at least twice Paul's age.
Okay, well, let's start again now. You guys totally confused me.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, restart and let's do the demo. Go ahead.
Okay, so first thing that you do is you need to navigate. Well, you need to start your command prompt as administrator, otherwise it's not going to run. You then need to actually navigate to the folder that your SRUM dump executable is contained in. Pretty easy. Once you're there, you will run sdump. And this is where I made a mistake, I remember, but I thought I'd leave the mistakes in that you guys can see that I'm human and I make mistakes. SRUMDump.exe. Then it's going to say to you, okay, where's your database? Now, generally, the way that they give it to you is when you mount it, you will have the drive letter, Windows System 32, and that whole path. My path, like I said, I cheated tonight because I believe in doing things easier rather than harder. For that case. And once this is done, what this is going to do, this is then going to ingest it into the Python script. It will then ask you where you want to output it and what you want to name the file. You need to be very explicit here, because if you do not do this case sensitive, it's going to tell you that it's not going to work. It's going to give you a big old FU and it will stop working and you're going to have to start over. There's no backsies, takesy backsies, or try again. You start over when you screw it up. So once you have said where you want to pipe the information out, it is going to ask you for the template. Now you can actually go in and you can change what information you want out, or you can use the standard template. The next thing that you need to run this is your software registry key. As I explained, SRUM passes to two places, your ESE database and your software key. If you don't ingest the software, you will get no network activity. It'll give you everything else, but it's not going to give you any network interfaces or any network information for that matter. So to just take it, you need your database and you need your software. Those are the two main elements that you need. Then you press yes, and then you can see Mark Baggett is saying you should go do the SEC 573 for SANS. What it starts doing then, it actually is going to start creating your application resource usage first. It takes like about 5 minutes to run, I'm sorry. But it runs through everything. It is going to give you an error that it cannot create the Windows 10 sheet. That is a known error that they're busy working on. Also, what needs to be noted is if you do the CSV, it's going to start complaining because it's using a specific Python library script that doesn't allow for the files to get too big. So it will split them up for you. And then it's going to run. Then it should be done. There's the error that it says, oh, oops, I can't do the undocumented Windows 10 table, which is fine because we don't really need that. And then what I did is I wanted to show you guys just how the evidence looks before I actually worked with it. And that was basically, I'm going to go back and share my screen again. And this is this information that I pulled out. This is how it looks, how it's actually pulled out for you. So what I would suggest you do then is you do filtering, and you can filter according to specific paths, specific binaries, specific dates and times, usage, you can do analytics to your HOTS content, and you can actually find indicators of compromise or malicious binaries within this. I'm pretty sure that if you run this against an incident response case, you're going to be pretty quickly be able to tell exactly what was going on that system at the time. So for me, this has got potential and should be researched more. I will be researching it in the future. The idea is to run it against multiple incident response cases and see what else we can find that's of relevance. But even malware analysis, I intend fully to run it against my malware test cases to see if I can pick up the malicious activity the same way I would in memory. And that is basically all I have. Any questions?
Do you know how big that file can get? I know that ESE database can be like gargantuan, because on like AD servers and stuff, it can be like just massive. So it's got the potential to be really large, but I wondered if they're purging it somewhere, so it's just kind of it just stays there. It
seemingly stays there, but that's what I said earlier. I actually want to go research that more. I literally this is 2 days research.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I just, that was the first thing I immediately started thinking about was how far back can I go? How big can the thing get? So is it a threat? So can I make it expand? Can I write junk to it so that can I filter can I clean my, I'm just thinking of all the things a defense attorney's going to say. Is there a way that I can push stuff in there that's just garbage so I can clean it out? So that's a great tool. I really like that. That's like awesome.
Well, I think what I want to do is I actually want to research and to see for actually how long it keeps evidence for. But as I said, I struggle to find information on the SRUM. There's really limited information out there. And even with Windows' technical papers, it doesn't really, it claims to be a diagnostic tool, but there's not much said in terms of how big the file can get. And ESE files is not like your event logs that Windows sets to 20 megs and then it purges and carries on. ESEs can be absolutely gigantic, especially with servers. So the potential is that you could probably go back very far, but that is something that is on the books for me to research. Once I hand in my master's thesis, yes, my professor is watching, and he has threatened me with life and death if I touch this before my thesis is handed in before the end of the year.
But yeah, don't neglect that.
Veronica, we just have 5 silly questions to ask you. Are you ready to play 5 questions with Security Weekly?
Oh, boy.
I don't know if I'll ever be ready because I think I'm way too sober, but let's go for this.
Alrighty, 3 words to describe yourself.
Limitless, impossible, annoying.
If you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
Ooh, so many choices though. A computer.
If you wrote a book about yourself, what would the title be?
Beautifully broken, wonderfully flawed.
In the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
Is that grabbing first or being grabbed first? Because there's a difference, so you need to be explicit, yeah.
It depends if we're playing American rules or
South African rules.
Or South African rules. Yeah, that's.
Well, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to say let's play American rules.
I don't know. Hold on. Wait. Wasn't I the one asking the questions? What happened?
So, Paul, which one are you going to
pick? Being grabbed. I guess. Yeah.
No, then I'm not going to want to go first. Because I'm going to want to grab first.
There you go.
There you go. Choose 2 celebrities to be your parents.
That's difficult. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. My dad would be Jason Street. And my mom would be Heather Malik.
Very nice. Very nice. Veronica, thank you so much for appearing on Paul's Security Weekly.
Thanks for having me.
And with that, we'll take a short break, come back with our next technical segment. Stay tuned.